Hi, everybody. It's Claudia with Cabin Talk. And today we have Harald Kautz-Vella on again, which is so wonderful. And I know you guys really loved it when he was on just recently. And today we're going to have a new subject that he will be talking about, and it will be about the drama triangle and how it ties into hierarchies of this world. And it's a really important subject that we need to talk about so that we don't get stuck in the drama triangle. So Harald, welcome again great to have you.
We're doing it again.
We're doing it again.
Yeah.
Time for another round.
Yes.
And it's always great to have you. I mean, the second time, it's not like I've had you on 15 times, but I hope that's where we're heading. And it's because you're such a wealth of knowledge of things that really leave everybody, including me, sometimes puzzled, but that's good because we all need to stretch our minds in every direction we can. And we get stuck in our own belief systems that they are the right ones, and most of the time we couldn't be further from the truth with that. So it's wonderful to hear really new perspectives that are stretching us and that leave us sometimes puzzled. So I'm really grateful that you are willing to come on again. And so the drama triangle, talk to us.
There are two different perspectives on the topic. One we can take from the perspective of black magic manipulation or transhumanistic manipulation. There are basically two slots in our system that can be controlled. One is the instinct with rectangular field structures, and the second one is the mind, the thinking, the mental body, with the binary field structures. This is rectangular, and binary is just kind of announcing the geometry of the fields that they're working within, of the antenna systems that they need to create signals to reach us. So this is kind of a part of the human being that can be infiltrated, can be manipulated. They can introduce thoughts that we regard for our own, but they are not. They can insert instinctive behavior that is actually not human, but evil. Let's just call it evil. This is where you get all these psychopaths from. But this is only a fraction of what it means to be human, because we have more chakras, and in the middle there's the entire emotional body with the heart activity, fear, anger, whatever we can feel. And this area is very hard to manipulate. You can manipulate the mental representation of an emotion, but you cannot manipulate the emotion itself. And so this is kind of, the middle part is left out from the concept of manipulation. So it needs to be kind of caged into closed cycles to not interfere with the manipulation. Mm-hmm. This is one perspective. This is why we live in drama triangles, where we have the persecutor, the victim, and the savior that dance around in a circle, that swap positions every now and then, or hundreds of times during one day, depending on the kind of scaling of the game. You can kind of identify with a role for your entire life, be the hero, the savior. You can kind of be the underdog, identify with the psychology of the underdog, be the victim your entire life. But it will not keep you from, on daily life level, swap positions every now and then in social interaction. Mm-hmm. From this perspective, we have kind of the psychology view on it. This is not my research. It's just this is where the name, the drama triangle, comes from, because the psychologists discovered that people do funny stuff. day in, day out, and they just try to root it down to the initial causes of this strange and destructive behavior. And they came up with completely different views that are also true, but that do not touch at all the demonic manipulation. It's not topic in psychology. But still, it very nicely describes the inner mechanisms of the psychology within the social interaction. So it does make sense to look at both, and more fruitful for the daily life, for handling your own abilities to remove yourself from that triangle in a constructive way. It comes from the psychology part. The other one is just kind of good to realize that this is a trick, that it's not like something that happened, but that there is evil intention behind, and to fight off evil intention empowers oneself to put more effort and more concentration onto getting out of it.
Right. And so should we go into the three different characters that we basically play and switch around in a little bit, Harald?
We can take them from the blueprint they are derived from. In psychology, the persecutor is the shadow father. The victim is the shadow child, and the rescuer is the shadow mother. And the structure behind is that actually during childhood, humans have limited responsibility. We should listen to our parents. They take decisions for us. When we do something stupid, they stop us from doing it. And when we do something really stupid to others, it's not us who's responsible, it's the parents who didn't take care enough. So this is kind of a space of limited responsibility, where we actually do deal with these two characters. And if it's healthy, the mother is caring. The mother is stopping us struggling with a brother, with a sister. She's supporting us, she's giving us food. If we get too close to the cliff, she just jumps after us and takes us away from the danger. This is kind of the caring and loving mother, but she also gives us space to experience the world and to learn all the patterns we observe in their adult world. So this is what playing is about. She's giving us the space to play, and leaves us alone in the space to play. This would be the perfect mother. Sometimes the role is a bit distorted, and you have these overprotective characters that have an emotional deficit on the partnership side, that project partnership demands into the relationship with the children, that want to be loved by the child instead of loving the child, that are not reliable and emotionally stable, that freak out without a real reason given by the child, or that are overwhelmingly loving, which is also the need to experience closeness, intimacy that should be in the partnership projected onto the children, then projecting all the fears into the child, to feel important. This is kind of a distorted mother role that leaves an imprint in children. So if you manage kind of to fully dissolve this during childhood, everything is fine. You can go into an initiation and integrate a good mother role into your own adulthood as a woman. Also as a man and women can take and carry both roles. It's not kind of the main duty, but they can carry both. The shadow father, he can be, if it's perfect, if it's a beautiful childhood, the father is strong, standing in the world. He's giving a good example what it means to be courageous, creative, sociable, supportive, making a living for the family, protecting the space of the family. This is all the positive aspects of the father, but he can also be just screaming around all day, controlling every single bit of things happening around him, controlling the children, controlling beating the wife. Then you have kind of the negative father character that leaves again a traumatic imprint in the child. And again, you can heal this during childhood if you don't manage to heal it. Something happens that psychologists call the shadow father and the shadow mother. I remember this from my own 20s, that I was happy to be out of my home, away from my family, but instead of being free, I had two voices in my head, commenting everything I did. And this is kind of the shadow mother that survives the separation and the shadow father that survives the separation. And if you have these voices in your head, it's one thing, because then it's kind of all stuck in your imagination and you can deal with it still. But if people don't have this kind of inner voices, these splits inside the mind, there is the possibility to project these roles onto other people. So they intuitively kind of look for people who represent exactly the shadow role.
Right.
And then the entire traumatic complex is re-imported into the next generation's relationships. Because this is kind of what is regarded as fascinating, as attractive. It's kind of the roles who try to merge together to form again the same childhood pattern, to finally crack it and heal it. This is it's not bad if this happens. It's just the attempt of biology and of the beings to create situations where healing is possible.
Right.
But still, what it creates is drama. And the third role that is, yes?
Oh, have you ever heard of Harald Hendricks? He calls it imago therapy. He's a couples therapist that has written a bunch of books with his wife. And that's exactly what he's talking about in, recreating our childhood with our partner, and hopefully both partners being able and willing enough to heal those wounds together instead of pouring more salt on each other's wounds. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't hear about him, but it sounds like he kind of entered the scene at the right perspective.
Right.
What we also have is the shadow child, which comes out as the victim role. This is a human that actually grew up but never got adult. This is the missing initiation ritual, or the impossibility to go through an initiation ritual because it's too messed up to heal during the initiation. Normally with the initiation, this is you kind of go into a situation that is scary, sometimes getting close to death, and you confront yourself with your strongest fears or with pain, bringing yourself to an extreme position where you don't have another chance than integrating the father and mother role models into your own system to stand strong in life. And when you come out of the ritual, actually the roles are within you, and you have the ability to take responsibility for yourself and for your children. This is what initiation is about. And if this doesn't happen because the roles are too messed up, then we have adult people with a shadow child, which is the victim role. People who always try to project themselves back into childhood situations where they are standing there with a limited responsibility.
Right.
An adult that is adult is fully responsible for everything, and this is not only like in terms of legal things or monetary things. It is he would never feel like a victim. If something happens, it's always him who created the situation. It always him who is fully responsible for his standing in the world. If you provoke somebody and you get beaten up, you're not the victim, because you provoked. So this is kind of the understanding of an adult who feels himself in power in his life, and not as somebody who is not doing anything but beaten up all the time. This is the victim role. This is kind of the inner child still being in the dominant position. This is now just the psychological structure behind. And what makes the thing so interesting is that actually, I would guess 95% of our social interaction is running on this shadow role principles. If we look into companies, you've got your boss, you've got the employee working under you, your boss is the persecutor, you're the victim in the boss-employee relationship. If there's somebody still beyond you, he's your victim and you're his boss.
Right.
And we've got also some department in the company where you can go to complain if something goes wrong.
Right.
If your boss is kind of pushing you too hard, you can go somewhere to complain, and you've got the rescue involved. Same structure in military. Straight hierarchy, and if something goes wrong, there's this officer to file complaints to.
Right.
If you're sexually harassed by somebody, there's a place to go to have a look for the rescue. And this structure is basically, it has infected most of the aspects of social life.
Right.
And kind of this is the second layer. It's not the overall identification with the role. It is also the possibility to project the role into your social position in your working life or in your private life. And then you have like the daily life jumping from role to role. If you have these situations within families, the kid is creating a mess in his children's room, the mother is not putting attention, father is coming back home. Yeah, and the mother is in the victim role against the father, is afraid that the father would kind of get angry with her because she didn't look after the child, and she immediately screams at the child.
Right.
Yeah, making herself to the persecutor against the victim child. Then the father doesn't care about the mess in the children's room, just sees mother is attacking little boy, and he's immediately jumping into the rescue, protecting the boy from the mother.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah, and then she has the feeling that all these men kind of line up against the women and the mother role, and she feels like the victim. Yeah?
Right.
And this is it can jump within seconds. And the most fascinating thing is that every fulfillment of a role feels right only for one reason, because we know how to act.
Right.
We know the game inside out and outside in. We've been in all positions, we've been observing all positions. It doesn't need creativity, it doesn't need responsibility. Because as long as you follow the pattern, every single step is prescribed in a way. And this gives everyone the security of being embedded in a gaming lab.
Right.
The problem with this, I mean, so far it sounds like, okay, this is life, so what? The problem is that the game itself, on one hand, is keeping us in eternal childhood, is creating social positions for persecutors that mess up the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way around that, because everybody else is staying in the position. So the game itself is extremely destructive, extremely destructive. Nobody is really happy with it. None of the roles are balanced. Happiness is not available within the gaming pattern. Environment is suffering. Traumas are set, mounting on other traumas, mounting on other traumas. This is hell.
Right.
So there should be a good reason to say, okay, let's stop playing these games. Let's heal the Shadow Father, let's heal the Shadow Mother, and let's help the Shadow Child to finally become adult.
Right.
Yeah. The question is how? How do we do this? Any ideas?
This is why I have you on. This is why you're getting the big bucks, Harald.
Yeah, it is indeed difficult. I cannot give you kind of
well, I would say
like
it
this.
really starts with looking at your own behaviors and really like just taking responsibility first and not reacting to things. And really just taking a step back and going, okay, before I need to say anything right now, where's my reaction coming from? I mean, that would be my approach to it.
Yeah. First thing is understanding the game, understanding all roles, how they function, and then getting some distance to yourself, like creating a little observatory in your brain that is commenting on roles. Like, okay, victim, okay, persecutor, okay, savior. This is one thing. And then the second thing that is helpful is to understand the hidden profit of each role. Because if you are kind of glued into a role and it's difficult to get out, the resistance you experience is there is a hidden profit, and you need to realize that this hidden profit, taking this hidden profit, is just cheating yourself and messing up all the others. And then a healthy version of shame can pop up, like, oh, this is so ugly what I've done, so egoistic, so ugly, so destructive. I don't do that no more. This is what can happen when the game is understood, and the hidden profit is tangible. And this is really difficult. It's easy for the rescue, in a way, although there are many different aspects to it. It's easy to see the profit the rescuer has. He's a shining hero. He's getting all the attention. Right. He's getting all the love. Especially attention of people who sit there and believe they can't do it. They need the rescue to solve the situation. The ugly side of the rescue is that you have an enemy, because the persecutor is your antagonist. Yeah, and if he's too powerful, he can drive you into the victim role if you don't take care. So this is kind of the ugly part of it, but you're the hero. The more pressure you get, the more dangerous it gets, the more you are in the hero position, and the more love and adoring statements you get from the victims. So yeah, it feels good, to get in danger. It feels good to get in conflict, because of the more dangerous the struggle gets, the more hero and the more attention you get. So this is kind of a double-sided sword with a conflict. So this part is kind of easy to understand. What feels good? It feels good to be needed. This is here the mother comes into the game. This is more the female side of the rescue. Right. A mother wants to feel that she's needed. If you have somebody that is completely lost and hopeless, he needs you. Oh, what a warm feeling. This is a substitute for love. because there ain't no love in that game. Love is something completely else, but it's a substitute for it.
Yeah.
Somebody who never experienced love might go into this game and might experience how it feels to be needed. The thing is, when I have somebody that is in this neediness position, I will start to bully him to stay there. This is kind of when the real shadow role comes into action. Then this bullying starts. If somebody makes a step out of the role, taking self-responsibility, it's immediately sabotaged, and no, you need me. You cannot do this without me. Let me help you.
Right.
You know, the let me help you is the surface. The other thing is the subconscious part.
Right. Well, and you know, a friend of mine, Harald, always said, helping is the sunny side of control. And that statement is really, like at first I was fighting her on it. And then it sunk in. And then it's like, yep, that's exactly what it is. Helping is the sunny side of control.
And a good way to test yourself on that, stop helping anyone for 4 weeks. Stop meeting people who are dependent on you for 3-4 weeks, and then observe your own system, how you are drained from energy. How your entire system is just craving to get hold of one of these victims to play the savior.
Right.
Because there is no other energy source at that point. This is what the game is all about on all positions, to keep you away from the true energy source that is self-love and divine love. Then you don't need games to be in a parasitic position. And this all pops up when you drain yourself from the parasitic source, just by rejecting it just for 3 weeks. Don't save anyone for 3 weeks. It's enough. You will realize what it is when you manage to do that. The victim. What is positive in being a victim? You can feel comfortable in the child position. No responsibility. One. Second one, you get attention by the rescuer.
Yeah.
This is the positive attention you get. He's helping you out. You feel love. This is not love. On the game level, this is draining you from your blood. It's not love, but it feels cozy to be helped. It feels cozy to be rescued. It's kind of like towards both parental positions. Also, some of the victims feel better if they get any attention, even if it's being beaten up. We can see this already with children. It's better to do something naughty and cash in some punishment than to be not regarded or not seen at all. Because there's nothing as painful for a child as not to be seen at all. This is why they get naughty. When they steal in the supermarket, they want attention, and they get it. So it's better to get bad attention than no attention. This is one of the basics in psychology. It's nothing new. But the hidden profit at that point really is draining energy in the social game and not being forced to make any decision. Not being responsible, not being held accounted for what you do. Because either the rescuer is doing it for you or the persecutor is telling you what to do. And you just follow, and responsibility is away. This spot, if you project this into society, this is what makes the evil hierarchy able to commit endless crimes, because no one in the hierarchy is responsible for what he does. He's just receiving. And nobody in the hierarchy even knows where these orders come from. In a small company, yes, the boss is still visible, but in politics, on the level of the mega companies like Google or Microsoft, nobody knows. Even there, the CEOs are mostly puppets.
Right.
Or they are in black magic cults and get their orders from demons. So who's on the end of this hierarchical structures? Nobody knows, nobody cares, and nobody feels responsibility for what he does as long as he is in this command chain. But this is it's delusion. It is just delusional non-responsibility, because you are responsible for everything you do.
Right.
Yeah. If your boss tells you kill somebody, you do it, and you say it was just a job, like in all these mercenary films produced in Hollywood nowadays.
Yeah.
Normally I don't talk in these Christian judgment contexts, but on Judgment Day, God will ignore your boss.
Right.
He will ask you, question you on your personal deeds, and he will not listen to excuses.
Right.
Because you knew it was wrong. And this is not only killing all the destructive work done by all companies, by all state authorities, by all humanity at the moment. Yeah, we just follow the norm, we follow orders, and we self-destroy, and nobody feels irresponsible. It makes me puke, sorry.
Yeah, me too.
It makes me puke because this is this stupid drama triangle at work.
Yeah.
And it's not necessary.
Well, and Harald, that's another reason why there will be another politician who will hopefully be the savior and make it all better, you know, and people will flock to that person. And it's just not going to happen. It's just absolutely not going to happen. And I think that's why people need to really, the cycle needs to be broken. And we need to realize that there is no such thing as a savior.
Yeah. This is kind of where you can see how politicians play those roles consciously.
Yeah.
Trump came as the savior.
Yeah.
He was just setting a few marks on the table, like I'm going to hunt down all the pedophiles, rescue the children. Chuck, he's in this position in the eyes of the people.
Right.
And what is he doing? He's declaring Jerusalem as Israel's capital on the Memorial Day of Pearl Harbor. Come on, can it get more evil?
Yeah.
Doing something that is regarded as a extremely rude harassment and violating all religious feeling for 1 billion people on this planet, and this on a kind of Memorial Day of the beginning of a world war for the United States. Could rip him to pieces on that. Right. Yeah, so he's not a savior. He's just another puppet playing roles that are well understood by the elites.
Yeah.
And it's about time that we understand them and that we get out of these role behavior just on personal level. And then they don't have power over us anymore.
Right.
And it's a big laughter. And one more, we skipped the persecutor role. I didn't understand it very much, just from my own history, from my own interview. I had really to look up the literature to understand where the hidden prophet is. Mm-hmm. And this is a really sad story, because all these persecutors, they were mistreated as children. Mm-hmm. They were in the victim role by a completely psychopathic father or mother or both. And the inner feeling is, I'm a piece of crap.
Right.
And the second they stop bullying people, removing themselves from power, from the decision-maker position, they immediately fall back into the awareness that they're a piece of shit. They're not, of course, but this is how they perceive themselves. So it's completely impossible. I heard that sentence so many times when you kind of try to get these persecutor roles that are not always kind of completely rude and cruel. It's just like over the limits to a certain extent. And when you try to kind of just take your own border and say, this far, this was violating my space now, immediately it goes like, so I'm the asshole again.
Right. Right.
Yeah, which is not within the communication. It's just the popping up emotion of being the underdog that is completely blanked out, whitewashed, sent away to the subconsciousness, and then it pops up as an emotion. And they cannot even feel that this is coming from inside and not from the social interaction, because it's just an emotion that pops up, and they're related to the thing that is happening in that second. So if you try to stop them from violating you, they immediately jump into the victim role. So I'm the asshole again. Everybody hates me.
Right.
I think
sorry, I have to laugh, but it's true. It's so true, Yeah, it's like so clear. When you line it out, it's like so clear, and we hear it every day. Every day,
And what I tend to do, if the first thing is kind of introducing people into the pattern so that they get the mental ability to recognize it and pull themselves out of emotional reactions. Right. And then it goes like completely calm and like if the victim role pops up, which you can even hear just by the tone of the voice. If it fades away like this and doesn't even go deeper than to the throat, then okay. Then you just go like, there's your victim. Can you see it?
Yeah.
And drop them into the space of self-observation and ask them if there's really a need to do that now. So this is how you can kind of clear the field within the gaming setup you are stuck in your personal life.
Right.
Take the bull by the horns by naming the position people play.
Yeah.
Which can be fun in a way.
It can be, but it can also be a disaster at first.
It can be a disaster. If people don't want to heal, they don't have to heal. Right. Free will. The thing is, when they actually do decide to heal, it's not a fun position anymore, it's the joy position.
Right.
Because what pops up if you do this is the true love. The unconditional.
Right.
And this is not tangible as long as you are in this masquerade.
Yeah. 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 I can totally see it. This is such a great conversation, Harald. It's perfect. I love it. Now, I do want to steer the conversation a little bit because we have gotten questions from people that say, how do we get rid of the demonic forces? And so I want to steer in that direction a little bit. How do we counteract it?
It's not one trick to get them out. It's a complete set of conditions that need to be put right to give yourself a chance. Mm-hmm. The first one is the biochemical state of your body. The influence of demonic entities within your body. This is, I think I have to mention this because people think if somebody is possessed, he's kind of one of 10,000 that fell. No, we are more possessed than free. Mm-hmm. I would guess the average number of demonic entities within a human body should be between 15 and 30. This is how far we fell into unconsciousness, subconsciousness, and have entities attached to the areas where we do not live in anymore. And I'm not an exception. I think I had 12, and I hope I'm just now facing the last one to get out. And I was not running around screaming or being a case for an exorcist in my life. I just had character. Because character is the dark crust of personality we build around these possessions to make them function in social order. So this is just normal. We all have that. We are born with part of that. For example, the Kundalini snake and the Tumo snake come in during time of pregnancy, 6th to 8th month of pregnancy. So we're not even responsible for them coming in. But they are part of our bioenergetic, and they influence us in extremely crude ways. So yes, we are all possessed by demons. And still what we still have is this voice in the heart that can see all this as happening, but not being influenced by it. And this is kind of the point where we need to go into to be in the position to clear our space again. And this is possible. We have a feeling for wrong and right. We have a feeling of true and false in our heart.
Right. Now, I have a quick question that I want to interject real quick, yes. Harald. When you say demonic forces, and that we have several inside of us, where do they initially come from? Where do they come from? How do they get into us?
Yeah. First, the question, what are they? They are, this is now purely scientific, bioenergetic, mortal beings created by secondary genetic clusters of fungi. Mm-hmm. Just the pure scientific definition of a demon. You grow a fungus, the fungus is multiplying genetics that are completely crossover and chimera genetics. Like 80% human, 15% spider, 5% fruit fly. Wouldn't match together in normal biology, but if you kind of merge the genetics into one DNA and then let it multiply by a fungus when he grows his fruiting bodies, the fruiting body will, as a secondary genetic cluster, build up a bioenergetic demon. Wow. And this is introduced into the biosphere. So the biosphere that is having these fungi and the manipulated genetics on board is producing these entities. This is how they come into life. On one hand, yes, from our perception, this is creepy, this is demonic, this is black. From the scientific point of view, it is just biotechnology, alien biotechnology. This is one part. Now, the second part is how do they come into us with disease, mainly with disease. And part of the entities that come in with the disease are related to our biosphere and are part of our nature. And some of them are not related to our biosphere, but to the satanic black goo biosphere. And are there to manipulate us and take over the biosphere. So actually there is, even on the demonic level, kind of duality. If you have like yellow fever, it's a disease that is taking out humans if there are too many living in one place. It's a measure of the biosphere to reduce overpopulation. When people are infected and they are kind of in the state of being infected, you're kind of clairvoyant, then you see a yellow demon entering your body. This is the normal biology of our planet, where the demonic realm is there to maintain order. And the other ones are not part of this biosphere. They're not here to maintain order. They're here to take over the order, to establish a control grid. And they're not kind of balancing things, they're disbalancing things. And so it's not that everything demonic is evil. The demonic realm is just a parallel level of reality where you can see bioenergetic things if you can see them, and if you don't see them, it's just the plane where they exist without being seen for most of the people at the moment. But still, people get sick, and people get obsessed, and people do Kundalini yoga. So apparently the realm is real in a way, not visible but real. So this is kind of just the background to it. Now, how do we reduce the influence or chuck them completely out? First thing is live healthy. Take care that your body is not acidified or over-acidified, which means fruits when they fall down from the tree from your own garden, no chemicals from industrial agriculture. Go back to nuts and herbs and roots and mushrooms and marronis and whatever you can eat that is our original food. What we eat today is pure poison. We shouldn't eat the grass because we're not a cow. We shouldn't drink milk because we're not a cow. We shouldn't eat meat because we have like endless long intestines predestined to digest vegetables unless we starve. There is kind of a program in wintertime when there are no vegetables available. It's okay to go fishing or hunt a rabbit. And then because it's hunger time, you take 24 hours to digest the meat. This is how long it takes to digest meat, and not eat anything during that period. This would be our normal biology. The moment you kind of have salami for breakfast and something else at noon, the digesting process stops and the meat starts to rot in your intestines and extracts poisons from rotting. So this is not how you keep yourself healthy. So the knowledge is out there. I don't need to unroll everything. This is one thing, and if you don't poison yourself, then also the acidity goes away because it mainly comes from candida fungus that is living on all the sugar we take in. We shouldn't eat sugar. In 1900, sugar was a drug that you needed a prescription from to get it from the pharmacy.
Wow.
Because people still knew it's poisonous.
Wow.
Yeah. Today we eat sugar from morning till evening and kind of scratch our heads when we get sick.
Right.
Yeah, so this is one part. In a healthy environment, physical environment of the body, demons cannot prosper, and they panic after a while and then they disappear. Second topic, more on the emotional level, self-love. If there's one thing they can't stand, then it's love. So if you have love for yourself, you flood your own system, your own body into every single corner with love. You will be demon-free completely. The problem is they hide behind traumata. So let's take me again as an example. To get rid of most of the demons was rather simple. Topics attached to it, and then either by better food or shamanic rituals get them out. And now we discovered there was one left because he was hiding in the trauma of circumcision. Is it the correct term?
Yep. Circumcision. Yes.
And circumcision. I just had to look the word up in English.
Right.
I had a hard time trying to. And you do not go back to the memory of that pain. because it's so painful that you just don't go there. So this is an area that is not flooded with love, because love kind of bumps into the pain and stops going there because it doesn't feel good.
Right.
And also from the area of the body, I have exactly one area that is still acidified. And this is exactly that area of my body.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of in the triangle connected to trauma and spider that is sitting at that position, and the biochemical condition of the area. So I wondered, I'm eating everything correctly. I still have a slight fungus on the skin, where everybody else would say, yeah, you sweat in between your legs, so this is why you have a fungus. No, it's the acidification. That
Right.
the demon needs to be able to stay in that spot. So this is how kind of they can prosper and how they can hide, especially. So if something is hiding behind a trauma, it's always the trauma needs to be healed, either by bringing the traumatic event into consciousness again and laughing yourself free, laughing yourself through, or crying yourself through, and then boop, boop, everything changes in your system, and then there's no space left for the demon, and it needs to leave because love is flooding the area again, and then here we go, it's out. What it needs is detangling your character from the thing you grew around. If there's a trauma in the very beginning, and then you kind of build your character in a way that you function in society. And as long as you refuse to give up your social abilities that you developed, when you don't give them up, you freeze exactly the situation you're in, and you have no chance to kind of get to the trauma that is below. So it needs kind of the courage to drop personality,
Right,
which is pushing adults into fields of insecurity, where it's getting kind of, it can lead into depression, it can lead into anxiety, into paranoia, whatever, because personality has developed to hide all these mental diseases, to become functional. So it needs the courage to rewind all this personality development, to get back to the points where where the entities got in, and then can be pushed out again. So some of them are kind of easygoing, because you can just change your lifestyle and they will feel uncomfortable and leave. But most of them are connected to emotional topics, to traumata, to deals you can make.
right.
If you have a child that is traumatized during childhood by extremely psychopathic parents, that is dissociated most of the time during childhood and completely in the victim position, she might go out of her body due to dissociation, and then the snake can completely take. The Kundalini snake that normally is just sitting in the aura as an attachment can dive into the body because it's empty and take over, sit in the flesh. And then normally it should be kind of uncomfortable to be possessed, but the snake has powers. If she looks through your eyes, you can control everybody. And you can scare off your parents, and they will never ever beat you again. And then the snake becomes your friend. Yeah? And later you can get any sexual partner you want to. Because the snake has this ability to just grab, if it's in a woman, to just grab a man and force him to fall for you. And this is the service, this is the deal.
Right.
And it needs a conscious decision to quit the deals. It can be connected to, especially in the male environment, they supply intelligence, especially the spiders supply strategy, scientific understanding. And so if you're depending on these abilities, it needs a conscious decision to just remove the deal, quit the deal.
Right. Now, Harald, somebody is asking the question, how did you discover how many you had? How does one figure out how many there are?
Most of them I just discovered the moment they left. Like the first ones I discovered, I was in I have a good friend, he's a painter and a healer, and he always said, actually, I can see something demonic in your aura. And if you ever feel like getting rid of it, just give me a call, we can give it a try. So he invited me to a healing session and try to remove entities from my aura.
Right.
And he was completely hopeless. He couldn't do it, and then some spirits from the spiritual realm joined in and helped out. And I saw the five the moment they were removed. The moment they were pulled out of my aura, I could see their faces in shock being pulled out, and I could sense them after 3-4 hours. I was warned it was going to happen when they tried to re-enter my aura. I could see them coming then. And then it was my responsibility to fight them off. It was like playing squash or tennis for 10 minutes. Trying to enter, paf, energetically, hitting them back to space. And this is kind of what it needs, sometimes a helping hand to pull them, but it needs the decision to not comply to the deal anymore. And I kind of did some research afterwards, asked some clairvoyant people what type of demon this is, and they said these are demons who go to people who are in danger for their life, offer a solution, and sign a contract that they can become part of your aura from then on and forever. So they come from prior incarnations, and they have a contract with you that they are allowed to feed from you because they saved your life once. This was that type of demonic entity. I had others that were just connected to small childhood traumata in my intestines. I got rid of them in a Kambo ceremony. The frog poison is very, very powerful for removing demons. And when they left, I saw them, everybody else in the room saw them. It's actually the moment it happens, they become visible. I didn't have a clue before that they were even sitting there. I did have a clue about the snakes, Kundalini and Tumu, because I practiced Kundalini yoga and was proud of myself, introducing the ability to consciously act with these energetic channels with sexuality, to become a better lover, whatever. This was black magic bullshit. I had to realize this. And again, it needed help to have them pulled. But it needed me to completely de-identify before, because if I wouldn't have done that, the pulling of the snakes would have killed me. If you're identified, if you kind of are in this contract that says that the being is allowed to be part of me, and then somebody tries to pull out the being, he rips you into pieces. And so it always needs both sides. You can get help from the outside, but you need to make the decision. You need to cancel the contracts. You need to isolate the entity. And it becomes, the moment you cancel the contract and do not join into the energetic games anymore, and you de-identify, immediately it becomes tangible as an alien entity within your system. You can feel where it is, you can feel what it does, and it becomes nasty. Because nobody wants to have something like this inside.
Right.
And then the time is kind of about the right to ask somebody for assistance to do the job of extraction. It needs help either in a ceremony like Kambo of the frog spirit and the frog poison to chuck it out, or of a very skilled shaman that can pull entities with his hands and is not in danger of swallowing them afterwards and get kind of possessed himself. A really good shaman knows to dissolve them.
Mm-hmm.
They're mortal beings, so they can be dissolved in flames and then they stop existing. Another possibility is some of them are actually highly developed and they have a chance to become immortal beings again. If you put them into the elevator of growth, this is a shaman technique. So they basically have to digest their karma within 5 minutes, which is torture. But then they can be reconnected to the divine sphere again as beings. In the state they are at the moment, they are mortal. All the immortal part goes to the collective entity behind. So the immortal part is Satan himself, that is pulling the experience out of the demonic realm. So he's kind of holding this immortality for the demons, stealing it from them, bringing them into the position of being mortal.
Mm-hmm.
And they can regain that immortality when they accept to digest their own karma, which is a heavy load, because they mess around for ages and create all kinds of heavy damage in their environment. So it's not an easy task to really reconnect, but it's possible. And good shamans know how to do it.
Right. Now, Harald, another question that popped up from somebody was, can somebody attach a demon to you? Like a curse type thing?
Yes. Yes. A curse is something else, but you can... if you open your system, people can attach demons to you, but it needs your agreement on certain levels. Mm-hmm. If you're a complete saint, nobody can attach anything to you. These things happen in what do you call that? Honey traps.
Mm-hmm.
Many people that kind of do things like I do, for example. They happen to get to know a beautiful woman that is far beyond their level. You know, where they ask themselves, how can a woman like this even be interested in me? You know? And then there's a relationship that is starting, and everything is beautiful, and it's just a honey trap. It is a woman that either is consciously black magic or taken over by entities, made to believe that this is true love. And by opening the channel in the relationship, you kind of give the allowance to be infected with entities. Because your heart knows. Your heart always knows there's something wrong about the woman. The heart will always experience that it's not correct what is happening, that it's dangerous. This threat is always kind of, it's very, very tiny and low voice, but it's always there. But if you give in to the sexual temptation, you open yourself to be infected. Mm-hmm. And then it's getting even more difficult to get out again. It happened to me once. And I had a demon on my shoulder that was straightly connected to my heart chakra with a kind of rubber band, a black rubber band. And once I had this rubber band on my heart chakra, I could feel this woman, and I was 100% convinced this is the biggest love of my life. Until the shaman saw the thing sitting on my shoulder and blew it away. And I realized, oh, just illusion. There is nothing. Yeah. So this happens, yes. But it happens when you open yourself to the temptation.
Another question I'm full of questions today, sorry. Where do people find a good shaman?
I don't know.
The shaman will appear when the demons are ready.
It's an extremely complicated question. I hope that there will be a generation of good shamans coming to life soon. The ones I know that are really good do not make personal work anymore. They just work in the collective, because there are more important duties at the moment. Most of the shamans that just run a normal business and do shamanic services for money, most of them that I got to know or I heard of are somehow fell to their own weaknesses at certain points. None of them is 100% clear. It doesn't mean that they do not have the ability to do the service. You know, if it's like catching a lost soul aspect and bringing it back to the body, or releasing traumata, or pulling entities, they can do all this. But I have a healthy distance to most of them at the moment. Because some of them started to channel kind of strange beings, and the moment they started to channel, everything got wrong, and they got kind of hot on money issues and ugly to people that were in competitive positions. You know, so something goes wrong, and then the ego pops in, and then everything goes kind of strange again. Right. So I cannot give advice. If I would give advice on a single shaman, he wouldn't survive the next hour, because everybody would rush there, and he couldn't even relate to it. Ask for one. You know, if you ask for help, if you ask God to send you the right person to solve your problem, he will appear somewhere. And then your heart will kind of pop out in joy when he comes, and that's him.
Right. I recently feel so much, Harald, like burning sage. I'm in a sage burning like frenzy lately, and I've never really been into it, but I would say the last 4 weeks I'm burning sage very regularly, and I love the whole ceremony of it, and I love the whole the smell of it, like the whole thing feels incredibly right for the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, they don't like it.
They don't like it. Maybe that's why it feels so right. Because that's literally all I've been doing. And I don't even usually, I just felt called to do that. And it's really just the last 4 weeks. And I've had that bag of sage for probably 7 or 8 years. And I've rarely used any. And now I'm just like the whole place is on fire some days, but it feels really right. And so I guess whatever we feel called to do so with, like, really, if it comes from here.
Yes, this is the hint. It's not that sage is the solution for all demonic problems. It's just to listen to your heart, what is the right measure for the next step. Because stories are so different from human to human. Right. That general advice is not a good thing. Right. But yes, if somebody needs to clear his outer space of entities first before he can relate to himself, then sage is marvelous. Right. You know, or if somebody is in a good spot already but harassed by outer entities, sage is a marvelous thing to do. Right. Right. Just to clear the space and keep it clear.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it feels really right recently. And so whenever I feel called to, I'm lighting up more sage and I'm walking through the cabin and the whole place. And it's really wonderful ritual. And I usually don't as much. But you touched on diet earlier, but I think we'll do a whole separate show on that, hopefully in the very near future.
We can, into details then.
Yes, yeah, I think that would be wonderful to really. I think that'll be a tangible thing for a lot of people where they can make a difference for themselves fairly easily. And so I think that would be a really important topic. But did we cover everything today? I know you have company coming. Yeah, it's been over an hour, I know, but it's like, it feels like nothing. It feels like we just started. But what did we not cover? You tell me. Did we forget something? About the drama triangle?
Let me see. No, the drama triangle was complete.
Yeah.
Maybe there was another thing that was left open from the last time. Possibly. I have to check.
Oh, yeah. And for everybody who is watching right now, I did an interview with Harald about a week ago. And you can find that on my Facebook, but it's also on YouTube. And in case you have not seen that one, I will put it in the description of the video. I will put the link, the YouTube link in there, just so you can catch up on that. And then we'll go into another subject, hopefully within the next week or two, and hit more the nutrition part of dealing with black magic, dealing with entities inside of us.
Yeah. We have one more topic open where I don't know if it's worth doing a complete show on that. This is money.
Oh, money is worth doing a whole show on, Harald. Because I think that's a big topic, even if we don't do an hour and a half. But I think it's a beautiful separate topic, that I think that's an important topic, actually. Yeah.
When I say money, I mean the two poles of scarcity and abundance that are inner states of your soul.
Yeah.
And
that's
money
a big one.
is a self-accelerating expression of scarcity that at the end makes us starve in a self-created condition.
Yeah.
No,
I think that's a big topic.
Put a hook for the show to come.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's a really big topic, actually, because that's what keeps us in this system so tightly locked that many people can't break out of it at all. It's like their entire world. And so I think that's a really big topic.
And here we go into a victim position, because we victimize ourselves to the monetary system.
Right. Yeah.
It is something that keeps people. No, people keep themselves.
Right. Good point. Yeah. Yes, thank you.
This is how it's like a huge engine where the wheels go into each other and stabilize each other. And it's always good if you kind of go focus on one topic to have all the other ones where you already gained experience and understanding of how it works into it, to keep yourself from doing all these mistakes that come from the other mechanisms.
Right.
And nobody is the victim of the monetary system. We are victimizing ourselves because we go in there for the profit. Right. And if you understand the profit, it makes you puke. It's so ugly that you never, ever again in your life will feel comfortable touching money.
Right.
In no even giving it away as a present feels like you can already kind of feel what this money is going to do next.
Right.
So it feels weird, and there's nothing beautiful about it. And this is something that needs to go into the emotional body.
Mm-hmm.
And when this is kind of in there, you can start to conquer the opposite thing, the abundance.
Right.
You
have to remind me when we do that interview, Harald, you have to remind me of when I could have won the lottery. I need to tell that story. It's so wonderful. It's really a perfect, it was a perfect sort of turning point in my life, you know, where I was like, whoa. But I'm not going to tell that right now.
But so we have, for now, we have two shows to do.
Yeah.
One on nutrition and transhumanism, how the technologies assemble, supported by our extremely disastrous lifestyle.
Right.
And the money thing. That is really a nut to crack.
Right. Yeah, it is a nut to crack. It's not a quick side note. I think it's a big book in itself.
Yep.
Well, again, I can't thank you enough for coming on. It was such a pleasure. It always is. And I can't wait for hopefully next week. It would be great if we keep going and keep the series going. And so thank you so much, Harald, again, for coming on. And I can't wait for next week. And thank you, everybody, for coming on and for sharing this video and for spreading the word. It's really important information that needs to be broadcast and that needs to be out there. It's for all of our benefit. And we need to really become inside different and to really do good in the world. And thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.
Have a good afternoon.